Hi, my name is Dr. Sam Shay. I am the author of this book, Unplug from Gaming Disorder, and I wanted to thank you for getting this book. It really means a lot to me. This is the summary of my journey through my own 25 years of gaming disorder, and I would even call it video game addiction. And this is a massively increasing problem around the world and is only going to get worse and worse. And so this book is my simple strategies to get started, to curb gaming disorder, to unplug from it. And I decided to make a video version of this book where we're basically going to walk through the entire book, because some of you may prefer to read this or see this as a presentation and to hear the voice of the author. And additionally, I'll have this as an audio form available for buyers of the book. And I'm just, this is such a kind of a monumental moment in the history of gaming disorder, because just recently the WHO has finally recognized this as a legitimate issue. And if you've got this book, I want to honor you and congratulate you. And I have, at the very end of this presentation, a special gift for you for watching the video presentation. So let's get right into it. First, I have some dedications and disclaimers. This book is dedicated to my sister, who had the bravery and the tenacity to perform a modemectomy, meaning remove my modem in the mid-90s when I was struggling with obsessively playing online video games. So this is dedicated to her, as well as to all my patients who have come to me with their sugar cravings, their gaming disorders, smoking, drinking, and other addictions, cravings, and disorders. This book is written for all of them, dedicated to them, and there's some disclaimers there as well. So what I do is I help people who want to get unplugged from their problem gaming, their gaming disorders, so they could be free to create the life they want. I have a very diverse background when it comes to being a clinician. I'm a chiropractor, acupuncturist, functional neurologist. I do functional nutrition and functional testing, and with a special focus on cravings and addictions. And that's my website, drsamshay.com. So the benefits of freeing yourself from gaming disorder, basically you have more time because you're not spending the time gaming. You have more quality time because you have better attention. You will earn and learn more because with your newfound time and attention, you'll be able to focus on your business and academic life, as well as your relationships. You'll have better relationships. And what you'll learn is that you'll learn the simplest yet most powerful tools to really reduce excessive gaming and gaming disorder. And they're the same tools I use for myself to bring back, give me back my life. So what you're going to learn is, one, how to recognize the gaming disorder, why video games are so addictive, the 2018 statistics of who gamers really are, and it's not really the stereotypical male under the age of 18 like you think. Those only comprise 17% of the entire gaming population, believe it or not. My personal journey through my own 25-year addiction, the promises and problems of what's called vicarious gaming, which is a massive new trend of basically esports, of people watching other gamers play on YouTube and Twitch. I'll share with you additional resources and also how to learn the 5-phase process called Tame the Beast to stop gaming disorder completely. This is my unique model on how to quit any kind of addictive behavior. So these are pictures of, if you're a parent or you're a grandparent or you're an auntie or an uncle or even a teacher, do these pictures remind you of the children that you see, whether it's the stereotypical under 18 male who's screaming, to zoned out kids, to a kid who's got fast food in one hand and video game control in the other? Or is this you as an adult? Are you hurting your relationships? Are you frustrated with your children? Are you losing opportunities at work? Or are you losing relationships in just kind of various different depictions here? Because these are all real issues. These are all real consequences. And the signs to look out for if you are concerned about a potential gaming disorder are the following. So this is one. This is coming from the American Psychology Association's 9 signs of a disorder, which are: 1, preoccupation. So this is thinking or planning your next gaming session. So I did this all the time. I would be at dinner but thinking about video games. I'd be at school but thinking about video games. I'd be trying to sleep but thinking about video games. Withdrawal is having discomfort or side effects if you stop. So if I stopped, I got anxious and nervous and upset and cranky, and I would reach for sugar. And so these would be called withdrawal signs. Increased tolerance. So what happens in the video game world, what happened to me is like, okay, I play this game, now I want to play the sequel, and the sequel has to be bigger, longer, more varied items, fancier quests, better graphics, whatever it is. I just needed more. Or it'd be just different styles of games, or different ways to play it, or something else. It's because like the old school games just aren't as good or entertaining anymore. It has to be new, better. Can't stop or reduce, like trying to quit or stop video games, but I couldn't. I had lots of relapses. Giving up other activities, so I would video game instead of socialize. I'd be video game instead of eating dinner with my family. I would do video games instead of sleeping. I would do video games instead of travel, go do other things, go out and be in the world. I would just do games. Continuing despite problems. So in the video games, this would be like pain in the wrists. This would be neck pain. This would be loss of sleep. This would be loss of grades or friends, or just skipping meals, skipping water, just continuing despite physical and structural problems. Deceiving or covering up. So I would hide and lie about gaming. Like I would put a towel underneath the door to block the glow of the computer screen from leaking out from underneath the door when I was playing late into the night. I would say I'm just doing homework even though I was actually gaming. And I would get angry or upset when I was confronted about my gaming use. And escaping adverse moods. So I would use video games to escape adverse moods. I would use video games to numb out, to not be anxious, stressed, angry, upset, or just any other negative emotion. And risking losing relationships and opportunities. So I definitely damaged personal relationships. I've lost professional opportunities. I messed up academically. I affected my family, especially my social life. So these are the 9 signs of potential gaming disorder. Now, these are 3 additional signs that I came up with. And so these 3 signs I did based off of the Center for Disease Control's definition of, the last 2 signs are based on the definitions around heavy drinking and binge drinking. But the first sign is gaming for more hours than you sleep at more than once a month. So meaning that if you game for 9 hours but sleep for 8, that's a problem. If you only game for 5 but you only sleep for 4, that's still a problem. So no matter how you slice it, if you video game more hours than you sleep, that's a problem. The second measurable sign is gaming more than 14 hours a week. So 14 hours a week, just to give you perspective, like 20 hours a week is a half-time job. So gaming at 14 is like a quarter-time job, or between a quarter-time and a part-time job's worth of game of your life. So that was based off of the Center for Disease Control's definitions of heavy drinking. So heavy drinking for males is over 14 drinks a week. So what I did is I replaced the term standard drink with standard hour. So over 14 hours of gaming equals heavy gaming. Now, it doesn't mean you're addicted. It just means it's heavy use. It means take a look. Likewise, with binge drinking, I saw the definition as over 4 drinks within a 2-hour period, according to the CDC. I just roughly approximated that to gaming over 4 hours straight without at least a 2-hour continuous break in between to, quote, detox. So if you do 2 hours of gaming, then 2-hour break, then 2 hours of gaming, that's not binge gaming according to my definition. But if it's 4 hours straight, or if it's 2 hours, then only 1 hour break, then 2 hours, it's still binge gaming. So I have a full article here you can read on it. You can just hover over and click on it. So those are 3 other measurable signs for gaming disorder. Now, here are the statistics. Now, this is recent. This is 2018 statistics. This came out this year. And the statistics will probably surprise you that the average gamer is age 34. 70% of gamers are over 18, not under. 60% of Americans play video games daily. In other cultures, it's probably higher, especially like heavy video game cultures like South Korea. And females over 18 comprise 33% of all gamers, which is almost double the number of male gamers under 18, who are only 17% of the population. So that's really a mind bender for most people, is that the females over 18 outnumber the males under 18 by almost exactly 2-to-1. Here are some more statistics. That the average female video game player is 36 and the average male video game player is 42. Now, the reason why, like, how can this be explained? Because we think of video gamers as this stereotypical 18-year-old male playing war games or shoot 'em ups or whatever, or fighting games. And the difference is genre. So busy middle-aged parents tend to play small like app games like Angry Birds or Diner Dash or Candy Crush. That's why the video game player for females is older than the one for males. And over 50, over 50-year-olds play like digitized versions of their favorite board games like Scrabble or Boggle. Like my mother would play Boggle and Scrabble on her iPad for hours. So the reason why there's so many gamers in so many different age brackets is because the genres of games vary wildly, and different age brackets tend towards different genres. Now, why are video games so addictive? Number one, they're interactive. So they're not passive like television or movies. You actually like engage with them. They're immediate because they're embedded into every technology that exists, whether it's a TV screen, a computer screen, a game-specific handheld, watches. I remember my calculator in physics class in high school. This is like 1998, I think. The Texas Instruments I-83 or 81, I can't remember exactly the model. You could play like a game of Space Invaders. So I was just bored and I was playing Space Invaders in physics class. Video games are repeatable. They repeat over and over again. There's slightly variations. You can have different results and similar experiences. They're novel, so there's all these new video games coming out. You can play them in different ways. You can play it with different people. You can play it different characters. They're just novel. And the other thing is that they trigger hardwired stress neurology. So as you'll find out later on, like the human brain is wired to target to rapid changes in color, rapid changes in light, and rapid changes in movement. And by light, I mean the brightness. If it goes from light to dark very quickly, like a shadow jumping over, coming across your vision, it triggers a stress response. So, and when you do that, it creates like this focusing, like this glued to the television phenomenon because of that neurological reflex. So, if this sounds like you, I gamed excessively, and my history began with Sega Master System and Nintendo Entertainment System, and I would spend several hours a day for decades playing video games, and just kind of progressed. Like it started really with at age 6 when my parents went through a very bad divorce, and my sisters coped with it in different ways. I just buried myself with TV and then later video games. And I would just use video games to numb out, whether it was to the stress of the divorce or bullying at school, boredom in class, social awkwardness, loneliness. It became the go-to if I remembered an old stress, experienced a current stress, or anticipated a future stress. The gaming harmed my physical health, especially my sleep, and then I would get more anxious and frustrated, and because I was sleep deprived, and then I want to game more to quell the anxiety, which then hurt my sleep even further and became just this vicious cycle. Now, this sleeping really became a problem because I would wake up in the middle of the night to game at night intentionally, because this is back in the 90s when there weren't hundreds of millions of people online gaming. The best, and I was playing massive multiplayer online role-playing games, like hardly anyone was on at 3 a.m. So I would be able to get on to these games and just farm monsters for their loot, unencumbered. So it became this vicious cycle. I use video games also to cope with constant bullying, because I was really short, I was socially awkward, I was nerdy, I was also physically unwell, and I was just a target, and they just basically smelled blood and knew to come after me. And I would go into video games to totally live in a different alternate universe. Like, I'd be a big muscled warrior fighting back, I'd play fighting games, and I'd pretend to fight back against the bullies. I would do video games to avoid boredom, just feeling bored, and same story, just feeling stressed out, and then the video games perpetuated feeling friendless and directionless and trapped and isolated, and just kept returning to video games. And then it affected my social life and my dating life, and because I was stuck in front of video games all day, I didn't really learn a lot of social skills, particularly around women, and it just made me really awkward, and I just kept gaming because I felt awkward, and I just limited my social life more and more because I preferred the company of games than to people, because people were risky. They would hurt my feelings, potentially they could be bullies, they could reject me, so it was, instead of trying to push through that and learn the social skills to engage with people, I just buried myself in video games. Then I played, and so that's just kind of the big picture. And then just the details, if some people are interested to know what games I played, is partly to share my journey of how I went from, NES and Sega Master System up to Sega Genesis, and just up all the way to, it's kind of like my video game street cred, if you will, to share, this is the games I played and this is the journey. So it was Sega Master System, the old games like Phantasy Star, Alex Kidd, Streets of Rage, etc. Then I got to NES. This is the classic Zelda, Castlevania, Kid Icarus, Mario. Game Boys were interesting. I had the original Game Boy that was green and black screen, and that was a game changer, pun intended, because you can actually take it into your bedroom and play secretly at night, or play it in class and the teacher's not looking, or whatever. And then I got hooked onto my first online video games in the early 90s. And so this is the big game I played was Medivia in the beginning. And then I crossed the line where I begged my sister for some money to buy an online character. So I begged her for, this guy was wanting $140 for a super advanced multi-class character. My sister reluctantly agreed, but then raised the red flag with my mother. And then the nuclear option was activated. My sister did a modemectomy where she just removed it. And I got really upset and really angry. And I gave my parents a silent treatment for taking away my online access. Now remember, this was 1996, 1995, 96, and there was no Ethernet. It was all dial-up. I couldn't drive. There was no internet cafes. There was no Wi-Fi. There was no iPhones. There was no smartphones. There was no city-wide Wi-Fi. There was nothing. So I lost all online access. Period. Done. The end. So I had to go back to non-internet games like Civilization and Solitaire. So then I found out my friends got PlayStations, and then I started going to their house and playing Tekken and Final Fantasy and other games. And but what I noticed is that the social interactions got very heated and very ugly. A lot of verbal abuse. In fact, to the point where it got so nasty that I decided to leave group play and just play solo because it just got so verbally awful. And this was when I started doing vicarious gaming, or also known as bystander gaming, gaming by proxy, secondary gaming. And basically it's where you watch other people play video games. And so like I would watch people play video games at my friend Ira's house, and I actually watched him play this one game called ADOM, which became my Achilles heel for about 10 years. This was this single most consuming game I have ever played in my whole life. And I think I lost, oh God, I don't know. I mean, if you look at, I mean, if I spent over 15 hours a week just on ADOM, and that totaled over 7,500 hours, I mean, you can do the math. That maybe I have to recalculate it, but I think it's about 1 year of my life total, just with, if I didn't sleep, nothing, just 24 hours a day straight, just at least 1 year just on ADOM. And then these other games I watched in high school, and then I was in university, and I started writing essays in high school on my video game issues. In university, this was when the Ethernet started to become a thing, and Napster and 3D online graphic games started, whether it was the Unreal Tournament or EverQuest, really started to take off. And then I discovered free online Flash games when I was in chiropractic school. And there's whole websites devoted to these online Flash games, which are basically similar quality to the Sega Master System and NES games back in the late 80s, early 90s. But now there's like hundreds of them, and they're free. And so you can just get all the diversity you wanted. Then I really wanted to cut down. So I wanted to stop video games in graduate school. And I tried to do vicarious gaming. So I tried to treat it like a nicotine patch, like a transitionary process to get off gaming. Now, this became problematic because there's all sorts of issues with vicarious gaming, which explains why they're so addictive, and I can, from personal experience. So, I picked vicarious gaming, or what I call YouTube therapy, as the lesser evil. So instead of playing the games, I would use the patch by watching the games. So like there's some pretty amazing games that had come out that I avoided playing, but I certainly watched, like God of War, Batman, Diablo. And the real problem with vicarious gamings are several. And the first one is that may lead to actual gaming. That's how I got into ADOM. I was watching Ira play, and I got interested. And the same thing can happen. You can watch the God of War series, and then you're like, wow, I really want to play this game, even though I had no intentions to. Number two is watching the other danger is you can watch the same game multiple times on multiple YouTube channels. So you can watch different people play the same game different ways. Like the Batman Arkham series is a great example of different styles of gameplay. And so you get so sucked in to all these different styles of gaming, and you just keep watching over and over and over again. The other danger is you can rewatch the, quote, epic clips. So the epic clips are like usually the boss fights or major cinematics. Like God of War series was famous for their epic boss fights, and you just and they're pretty phenomenal. I mean, this like they got like movie budget level, resources to make a truly immersive, gigantic experience. The other issue around vicarious gaming is becoming obsessed with sequels and expansions and DLC or downloadable content. So you like the God of War series, or like I did, and I was like, oh great, and then God of War 2 and 3 and then 4 and then 5, it's all coming out. I want to watch all. Like the Batman series had like 6 games associated with it, and Diablo had all these seasons and expansions. So you just can get sucked in to all these different expansions. The other thing is the tournaments and live streaming. Like Fortnite, for example, has just taken off, just exploded, and like it's very easy to explain why it's so popular. I mean, it takes on the difficulty of a very hard first-person shooter combined it's like the combined Counter-Strike with Minecraft with like these really campy. It's just like it's like really fun, really hard, really creative, and really hilarious, and very novel. And you can markedly improve your skill sets, and you can watch these tournaments and live streams and just see really skilled players play over and over and over again, and it's very engaging. Then there's video game trailer surfing. So you can, like, the trailers to video games equal or match the budget of the trailers of cinema. So you can watch these trailers to these these amazing games that are just like cinema quality, and you can get sucked into not only watching the trailers but then the games itself. Then Vicarious has become a problem all by itself, for all the reasons I just mentioned. And like it happened to me, that it became a problem. Like, I became just like instead of wanting to play video games, I wanted to watch the latest trailers, the epic clips, the different styles, it became its own separate problem. And when something's a thing when South Park slams it or makes fun of it. So they had this episode called #Rehash, where it made fun of Vicarious gaming as a whole. And you can see in the clip from there, it's like Hartman is the YouTube commentator. So the conclusion is that Vicarious gaming is a dubious strategy to curb gaming disorder. So, like, I haven't played a game since April 2014. So as of this recording, we're talking over 4 years now I haven't played a physical game. And so with that, I used Vicarious gaming instead, which was actually a false... I stopped Vicarious gaming, but it became this false nicotine patch, so to speak. And it's a lesser evil, but it became a problem all of it by itself. So I stopped gaming to have a better life, and I want you to do the same. So it does take time, energy, focus, but most importantly, it takes a decision to change. And by getting this ebook, you have made that first step to change, to that commitment, to deciding that you want to change. So here are the 7 ways to game less. So here's some really simple, straightforward ways. Number 1 is just remove all games from the bedroom. This is just remove all gaming and all possibility of gaming from where you sleep. And if that means removing the computer, removing your tablets, removing your smartphones, removing any portable handhelds, anything that can connect you to gaming, whether offline or online, just get it out of the bedroom, because then you won't be tempted. Number 2 is don't play games after 8 p.m. or ideally after 7 p.m. because of this neurological reflex. So, video games are designed to be exciting, but this reflex in the human brain is really critical, and no one really speaks about it. So the human eye is wired for danger. You've got hundreds of thousands of years, millions of years of evolution to help us survive in a hunter-gatherer situation. So if we're walking through the forest and there's like a flash of orange in the corner of our eye, we immediately do this. Now, in today's world, we don't have tigers lurking in the bushes, but if you've ever been reading something and suddenly your eyes dart to the side and you see there's a fly there, that eye never, the fly never came here. It was in the corner, but your eye, you knew to look to the side there. So what that means is that your body is wired to look for altered changes in motion and also color. So if you look at a police siren light, it spins red, blue, and everyone will initially look at it, initially just target it. And if there's a change in brightness, like if you see a shadow just go past you, or like you have the experience of the shadow of a plane flying right over your head, and like you suddenly look up when you do this, it's the same reflex. It's survival instincts, survival neurological reflexes that have been hijacked by video games. Because what are video games? Rapid change in motion, rapid change in brightness of light, and rapid changes in color. That's why people get glued to the screen, because their brain thinks it's looking for danger, which then triggers a stress response. Now, I would strongly recommend you unplug the Wi-Fi and get rid of the gameables that are available offline. So if you're a parent that's reading this, You may need to physically remove the Wi-Fi box, and you may get some static from it, like I did with my sister. But that's, that may be necessary. This third way is to not play alone. So, like, you use the concept of public awareness or public scrutiny. So put all gaming in a public setting, such as a living room, or always keep the door open, when you're playing video games. I know it's harsh to compare someone to drinking alone, but people get concerned if you drink alone. But I think it's worth looking at if people are constantly gaming alone. Like, just have a look at it. And yeah, just don't play alone. Now, there's a warning that if you do play with others, you can get sucked into gaming even more, especially these tournament-style, team-based video games, whether it's League of Legends or Evolve was before it imploded. Even Fortnite has team aspects to it. Fourth way is to cut down 1 day a week, like a digital free day. So you reduce 1 day a week, and then you reduce another day a week, and then you reduce another day a week, and then you just keep reducing it. Number 5 is that you use game or Wi-Fi blocking apps and productivity apps to reduce gaming. So there's some great ones like Rescue Time or Timeout by Dejal or Mac Freedom. I don't care which ones you use. I personally like Timeout. There's many different programs. Some are paid, some are free, some are freemium. Just find the ones that you like. Sixth way is to really take a self-evaluation of what will be your life like in the future with and without gaming. So you just project your life forward. What will my life be like for the next 5 months, 5 years, 25 years if I kept gaming the way I do? I wish I had done this exercise to avoid a lot of the strife and missed opportunities and health problems that I had because of my excessive gaming. The seventh way is to ask for help. Now, there's several ways to ask for help. One is to ask for reminders, whether it's automated reminders like on your calendar popping up, or there's even paid services where you can have automated text sent to you. There's many different ways to give yourself reminders. You can ask people for help for reminders. You can ask people to hide the hardware. You can voluntarily ask people to perform a modemectomy, like please take my smartphone away or game console or whatever. Ask for help. You can brainstorm for other activities. Like if you're bored, find other activities. Like today, there's so many things to do nowadays that then so many groups, whether it's a meetup group or you can go out and join, whether it's a musical group, whether it's a choir or learning a new instrument, or language groups or martial arts, like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is just taken off because it's a big community and you can increase your skills very rapidly. You can join a gym community like, CrossFit. There's many different things you can do if you're bored and feeling lonely. The other thing you can do is clarify any underlying stressors, like why am I reaching into video games? Like I feel stress. What's the underlying stressful thought? So here's some examples. The number one stressful thought is I'm bored. Now, this is probably the most sinister, stressful thought on the planet. The reason why it's sinister is because no one realizes it's a stressful thought. I'm bored doesn't register intellectually that it's a stressful thought, but physically it registers, bodily, emotionally registers as a stressful thought. That's why we're so quick and antsy to numb out the boredom. So other stressful thoughts that would be there would be like there's too much to do, there's not enough time, people should listen to me, people shouldn't hurt me, I can't do anything right, she doesn't love me, the world's in a safe place, she rejected me, he hurt me, life is unfair, etc. These are all stressful thoughts that then create anxiety that then would trigger the desire to go play a video game. And we're going to cover that in more detail in the 5 phases. The seventh way is the next way is to get training. So if you want to speed up and amplify your progress, you got to get some training on how to recognize and reverse gaming disorder. So, you've you want to learn how to get past it. And there's also co-addictions and co-disorders like sugar, which is what I also had. Now, reading this ebook will absolutely get you started. Like, if you implement these 7 things, like, you will absolutely be on the right track to end gaming disorder. But there is a whole system to permanently get rid of it, which we're going to discuss shortly. So here's the summary. Remove all games from the bedroom. No video games after 8 p.m. or earlier. Don't game alone. Cut out one day and then cut out more days eventually. Use game blocking apps and software. Forecast your future with or without games and ask for help, whether it's reminders, hiding the hardware, brainstorming alternatives, clarifying underlying stressors, or getting training. So there's some additional resources. You can hover over, when you get the hard copy of this, the digital copy in your email, you can just click on this, my YouTube channel. You can search my name, Dr. Sam Shay, on YouTube. This will also have a 2-minute story, 2-minute trailer on my history of video game addiction. Other resources, drsamshay.com/gaming disorder for my complete list of tools and information on video games, my writings, my articles, the interviews, podcasts, and so on. And I want to show you the 5-phase system to get rid of gaming disorder permanently. So this is called Tame the Beast, BEAST. So this is the entire system of how to deal with an addictive cycle, like such as gaming disorder. So B is believing a stressful thought, like I'm bored, or I have to make a decision. And so you have a stressful thought, like I'm bored, and then you have an emotional, physical stress response, like anxiety. Then you want to numb out using video games, and there's consequences, like losing sleep. And then there's terrible thoughts, like, oh, I can't believe I just did that. I'm so messed up again. And then if you believe that terrible thought, like I'm a bad person for the consequences I rendered from the video games I used to numb out from the stress from the original thought, if you believe like, oh, I messed up, then you'll feel bad and want to numb out with video games and have more consequences, have more terrible thoughts. If you believe them, it just goes round and round and round. So this is an example of how the cycle perpetuates itself. So I'm bored becomes anxiety in response to boredom, becomes playing video games to numb out the anxiety, becomes losing sleep from gaming too much, becomes I messed up again because I lost the sleep, which then becomes the new stressful thought. And then you become annoyed with self for messing up, which then you play video games to numb out the annoyance. And then you miss a deadline for playing so many video games. And you think to yourself, I'm such an idiot. And then the I'm such an idiot becomes a new stressful thought. And when I say you, I really mean me, because this is exactly what happened to me. So you can see how this spirals around and around and around. So this is the beast cycle. And I want to show you how you can tame the beast, but only if you really want to. So if you... This is a very subtle but significant distinction. You have to want the help, not just need the help in order to break this cycle. You have to want to get better. If you just need help but don't want it, then you will struggle, okay? You will definitely struggle. So to tame the beast, here's how you reset at each phase. So phase 1 is you resolve the underlying stressful beliefs. And so there's whole systems of how to deal with the root stressful belief systems. Phase 2 is resilience. Like you build resilience against stress. So this is dealing with all the physical sides of your body. So it's like you deal with your digestion, you deal with your posture, any physical pain, you deal with exercise, you deal with toxic exposure, you improve your diet, you improve your routines, you deal with, your sleep. There's all sorts of things that you do in order to build your resilience. So when you do have a stressful thought, you're not so prone to running to an anesthesia, in this case, video games. And so, but if you do get to this phase, then we can learn how to restrict access to video games, remove them completely, or temporarily replace video games with something else. Now, we talked about the replacing, which was vicarious gaming. And replacing doesn't always work, but it is somewhat of a lesser problem than actually playing video games. So the distinction is that you replace it to buy time to consciously go back up the chain to increase your resilience and resolve the underlying stressful beliefs. Then you can, then if in the fourth phase is you reverse the damage. So some damage is like you lost your sleep, so you got to focus on sleep strategies. Other damage is you spent a lot of money on video games, whether it's equipment or the games themselves or downloadable content or the freemium versions or the add-ons or the perks or whatever cosmetics, depending on the game you play and what's available to pay for. So you establish things to control your spending. If you've gotten into problems at school with video games, like you establish strategies to deal with that. There's many different things that can be damaged. There's Smolder actually is a 7-letter acronym for the 7 types of damage that can be done from whether it's video game disorder or sugar addiction or smoking or whatever. It's this model I use for any vice, but we're talking about gaming disorder in this particular situation. So the S stands for societal consequences. There's not really that many in gaming, except maybe stigma. But in South Korea, it's become a huge problem where they've had to institute some national laws on limiting video game use. M stands for monetary consequences, like spending money on games. O stands for occupational or educational. So if you've hurt your job or hurt your education or your grades or the bottom line because of your gaming. L stands for legal consequences. There's not really a lot of legal consequences, maybe like buying the rated MA games, but the legal consequences are more, doesn't so much apply to video games as it does to other addictive things. D stands for domestic problems. So like I had the domestic issues back when I was gaming. I like stuff wouldn't get done around the house. I had friction with people living in the house because of my gaming. E stands for energy, health related issues, where it's like sleep loss. R stands for relationships damage. So I've definitely had some damage from video games in my past. So Smolder is a 7-letter acronym to help kind of remember and categorize and detail what damage needs reversing. Then the 5th phase is reaching out for help. So if you're at the terrible thought phase, like I'm a bad person, I'm an XYZ, how could I do this? I messed up my health, my career, my education, my money, whatever. This is the point where you want to reach out for help. And there's people to ask for help and people not to. So you can learn how to tame the beast of gaming disorder. It's really easy to learn it. I've actually designed a complete online training that's 5 modules long, one for each letter of the beast cycle. So it's very simple to sign up. It's self-paced, it's straightforward, it's self-empowering, and it's successful, assuming you implement it. So I designed this course based on my personal and clinical experience. So I've used this exact model to help gamers, tech addicts, sugar addicts, food addicts, and other addicts, whether it's alcohol or smoking. And I mean, you may not know this, but I was addicted to sugar for 15 years. So I designed this course based on personal and clinical experience. I call the course Flourish Out of Addiction. Now addiction is a strong word for some people, may trigger some people, but gaming disorder is on the spectrum of addiction. So let's just be honest and call what its most extreme form is, which is addiction. So gaming disorder is kind of like this gray area, but whatever, like the same principles apply, whether you're full-blown addicted to it or you have a disorder. So module 1 covers resolving stressful beliefs. There's an entire module on the main ways to resolve underlying stressful beliefs, like I'm bored. In fact, as a gift for getting this online course, I'm going to give you access to an entire other online course that teaches the primary method to resolve stressful beliefs. It's an entire course. I'm very proud of it. It teaches you the method to identify the stressful thoughts, like the ones we mentioned earlier, and then the 4-step system to question those stressful thoughts so they dissolve. So you don't actually, because they don't actually like trigger the cycle anymore. Because if you deal with the beliefs, then the cycle stops. So this is like in some ways the most important module, and I even made a whole separate course to further detail out one technique in particular that is described and encouraged within that first module. So that's module 1. Module 2 is about resilience, And it covers the 10 pillars of health. This is another model I made, which is how you can identify all 10 facets of your physical health and where you're needing some support in. So if you're not eating well, or you're skipping breakfast, or you're not exercising, or your digestion is off, or you've got chronic infections or gut parasites, or there's fungus or mold in your house and it's affecting you. Like if you got mold in your house and it affects you, like it's going to affect your resilience. Some people are really sensitive to mold, some people aren't. If you're sleep deprived, which can of course be ramped up by the gaming disorder, if you sleep better, you have more resilience. If you have better digestion, more resilience. If you exercise better, you have more resilience. If you eat better, if you have a good breakfast, if you like all these things. So I'm going to teach you these 10 pillars of health. Then the third module is how to specifically restrict, remove, and replace video games, as well as sugar. So like this I track 2 vices through this course that everyone can relate to. Gaming, and if people don't video game, they can relate to screens, whether it's social media, Facebook, or television, or whatever. But specifically it's video games. And the other is sugar. Now, people don't resonate with sugar, they can resonate with food. So I track sugar and video games as the 2 examples through this entire course. So, and it's really useful to look at sugar because sugar and video games usually go hand in hand. So that's how to restrict, remove, and replace these is covered in Module 3. Module 4 is details on how to specifically go through the 7-letter acronym SMOLDER to identify where the damage has been done and how to slowly reverse the damage in a very winnable way. The 5th module is how to reach out for help. There's people you should ask and people you should not ask, and I teach you who to ask and who not to ask. So it's a 5-module online training. You get lifetime access to it if you buy it. It's not like you go through it once and then it goes away. I have bonus in-depth training on sugar addiction, as I mentioned before. And there's a 6th bonus Q&A session that I recorded when I originally made this course. I recorded the Q&A session. And it talks about other different aspects like addiction versus OCD. Can you be addicted to happy states? A lot of people have questions around sugar, which again is related to video games because people stuff themselves usually with sugar when they're gaming. Not always, but it happens. And as a bonus, I'm going to give you my Transform Stress into Freedom course, which teaches the single most important tool I have ever found to resolving underlying stressful beliefs that are the root of gaming disorder and sugar addictions and the other stuff as well. So we've come to the end, and as a bonus, as an additional bonus, I want to give you an opportunity to sign up now and stop this cycle. You can stop the beast cycle by signing up now. And if you sign up now, I'm going to give you 51% off. So the whole course is $300 normally, but you get 51% off. That's $147. You just use the promo code Unplug, and you get not only the Tame the Beast course to flourish out of gaming disorders and sugar addiction, but you also get the Transform Your Stress into Freedom course as well. So all you got to do is click there, and it'll take you to a website where you can learn more about this if you want. And it just goes through all the modules with benefits of the course and so on. There's me and a video explaining it. And then all you do is you click any of the buttons here, and it'll take you to another page where you can purchase the course. And all you got to do is put in the promo code Unplug, and you hit apply, and you'll see the course will drop, and you just agree to the terms and conditions, and you continue PayPal, you buy it, and it'll be automatically emailed to you. So that's the book. That is going through unplugging from game disorder, and I hope you found a lot of value in this. And if you implement these 7 simple ways to game less, you will curb or begin to curb your gaming disorder. But you really have to understand that may not be enough, that there's an entire system to tame the beast of gaming disorder, which is why I'm offering this at a discount as a thank you for you to watching this all the way to the end. So just put in the promo code Unplug into the checkout page, and you get access to both courses just emailed right to you. So thank you very much for watching, and I hope this helps you, and I look forward to helping you in the future. Thank you.